Hello, hello! Today I wanted to do a quick lesson on my approach to learning where all of the notes are on the fingerboard, because a lot of my students come to me as, intermediate players who can play quite a bit of guitar, but I like to joke with them, if someone came up on the street to them and held a gun to their head and said, "Quick, find me G on the D string," they might be a dead man, or woman, or person. So, in today's video I wanted to break down my approach and give you guys a free document that I give to all of my students to help them kind of come to grips with how everything works. So I call this method the checkpoint system because the guitar really is a confusing maze of notes. It's quite unique in the fact that we can go up in pitch or down in pitch by moving both vertically and horizontally, which makes things quite confusing. And we can also play the same note in 1,000,004 different places, which complicates things even more. So this method is based on simplifying that idea. I call it the checkpoint system. Now again, if you like, there's a link in the description that'll take you to my blog where you can download this sheet if you want to look at it while the video goes, and I will also have a small version appearing right there, right about now. Anyways, so I think that simplifying is the trick to getting used to where all of the notes are on the guitar. So the first fret that I get you to try and memorize all the frets across is the 3rd fret. We're going to do the same thing for our 5th fret. We're going to learn all the strings across at the 7th fret as well. And then we're also going to do the 10th fret. And once we've done that, you will never be more than 1 fret away from a note that you know. And now some of my students like to say, "But Matt, there's 2 frets in between the 7th and 10th fret. How is that possible?" And really, if I asked you a note on the 8th fret, you would go up 1 from what you know is on the 7th fret. And then if you went back 1 from the 10th fret, you could find the 9th fret. So by knowing all 4 of these frets, you will be able to know the entire neck of the guitar within a second or two. You'll be able to figure it out. So, the best way to practice this, it's going to feel really stupid, but I swear to God, 5 minutes a day can be really beneficial in this practice, where what you can do is you can pick a fret, say it's your 3rd fret, and you just go across and you play it. I call it say and play. So you play the note and you say G, C, F, B flat, G. You go, and it feels really silly, but for some reason saying it while playing it really does help make the connection. So that's how you can get the 3rd fret under your fingers. Now, the 5th fret has some cheats that some of you may already know, where if you play the 5th fret of the E string, and then you play your A string, they are the same note. So the 5th fret across the neck, other than one small exception, which we'll get to in a second, is going to be the same note as your next open string. So on the E string, I know it's A. On the A string, I know it's D. On the D string, the next string is going to be G, the 5th fret. Now this is where the rule falls apart a little bit, because the G to B string is a different interval than the other strings on your guitar. So to get B, I have to go back to the 4th fret, but I have this highlighted on the diagram, so hopefully that's clear. But the 5th fret would be C, because C is 1 note above B. And then when we get to the B string, thank God, the world makes sense again. My E string's a little bit flat, evidently. But the 5th fret of my B string is going to be the note E. Now here's the wonderful thing. The 7th fret works the same way, but in reverse. So if I play the 7th fret of my A string, I get the note E. So it works backwards. Where the 5th fret gave us the next string, the 7th fret gives us an octave higher than the string behind us. So we get E, A, the 5th fret, or the 7th fret of the D string is A, 7th fret of the G string is D. Now here we have the reverse problem with the G and B string that we had before. Before we had to go down a fret. When we're going from the B string to the G string, we have to go up a fret to get the note G. Beneath it is F sharp at the 7th fret, but if we go back, that gives us that trick. And then on the E string, the 7th fret gives us B. So that cuts out a lot of the busy work there, where these two are kind of freebies. But then we get up to our 10th fret, and there's a little bit of a cheat code here, where the 12th fret, if you didn't know, so the one with 2 dots on it, that is where the guitar repeats itself, because there's only 12 notes in music. So by the time we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... Sorry, I started on the open string, not the 1st fret. As we go up 12, we've repeated ourselves. So here, E, the 12th fret becomes E again. It's the same note. And so all you have to do to figure out the notes on your 10th fret is go back 1 letter in the alphabet. So E becomes D, A becomes G, which is kind of funny, but the musical alphabet only runs to G, and then we go back to A. D becomes C, G becomes F, B becomes A, and then E becomes D again. And so there we have all the notes across the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 10th fret. And once we get really comfortable with that, we will never be more than 1 fret away from a note that we know. Now, to make this sheet even more beneficial to you, underneath all of these little checkpoints that I've written in, I've also written chromatically every single note on the guitar, or not on the guitar, in music, all 12 of them. And this will help you if you ever get stuck, like say, you know that this is G, but you need to find out what's on the 9th fret of the A string, and know that that would be F sharp or G flat. So this gives you that kind of codified system. And then there's a little phrase written beneath it that says, "Big cats eat fish," and that is because there are no sharps or flats between B and C and E and F. I wish I had a really good explanation to you as to why that is, but it's just kind of the way it is. There's no sharp or flat between B and C or E and F. Everything else will have a sharp on one side of it and a flat on the other, or depending on how you want to think about it, those are kind of interchangeable. And that's my last point that I want to make with this, is if you were in that situation, let's say exactly where we were, you're trying to find the note on the 9th fret, and you're thinking, well, if I go back from 10, or is that going to be an F sharp or a G flat? And there is a codified system as to why this is, and it is fairly logical, but it's a little bit too much to get into, at least in this YouTube video. So my general advice for you on whether you want to think of it as a sharp or a flat, because G flat and F sharp are the same note, it just depends on the context. I like to use the example to my students that if I'm talking to the government, my name is Matthew, but to virtually everyone else in my life, my name is definitely Matt. They change their name depending on the context that the note is found in. But for your cases, while you're exploring this and trying to memorize the fretboard, I would just try to think of it as if I'm going up, it becomes sharp, and if I'm going down, it becomes flat. So if my thought process was 9th fret G to here, I'd say maybe that's a G flat. You could also tell yourself that it's an F if you wanted to double down and get the best of both worlds, but that's just kind of my recommendation, is if you're going up, call it a sharp. If you're going down, call it a flat. But that's pretty much it for me today. If you liked this video and found it useful, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I'm trying to grow my channel, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. If you'd like, you could also book a guitar lesson with me. I have a link to my website down below there. I'd love to sit down and work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. And other than that, I don't have much to say other than I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you get to have some fun playing the guitar. So thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.